This is a game played by a Stockfish engine from both sides. Then you might be wondering why. Will I show you this game? It's because I want to prove you that a perfect game always ends in a draw. Now, without any further hindrance, it's your boy, Chessy, and let the game begin. First off, all the white starts with the e4 capturing the center and black reply with e5. White brings out the knight attacking the pawn, and black replies with knight to c6 protecting the pawn. And both the side bring their knight for covering the center. So admiring this position, white brings bishop to attack the knight on c6. If you want to study this position, it's a mixed variation of 4-knight opening and Ruy Lopez opening, which has been played by different grandmaster in the past. This is the basic position in chess. You might have faced this position. What a normal person does is bring their pawn of d-file to protect the pawn, but the Stockfish decide to go to knight to d4. Now the bishop has to move because it's under attack, and black decide to develop a supporting pawn on c6. It's surprising that black decide to develop a pawn rather than protecting the center pawn. Now it's just obvious that the knight will take the center pawn and black will bring its pawn to d5, and the white could capture it with center pawn. In this position, we could see that black is 2 pawn down, but it didn't take the pawn on d5. Instead, it played bishop to d6. It's concerning for me because everyone told me in chess that we first look for check, then capture and then attack. But this stupid nigger is doing exact opposite. Now white plays to knight to f3 because it's under attack. Black finally gives the first check of the game with queen to e7, and king has to move because it will be foolish to cover the attack when knight is guarding the e2, which will end in a trade that would destroy the white position. So it's better to move the king to f3. Now there is a trade between knight and both the queen are active, which leads us to the beginning of middle game. Now black start to develop the pawn and attack the bishop, so bishop has to move. Then black castle up. In this situation, white is 2 point up, so he decided to move the knight to e4 because it wants to trade with black knight. But black wasn't interested in trade, so it took the pawn on d-file with the knight. So white trade, it's knight with the bishop and the queen. Capture it again. In this position, white has no pawn develop, so it develops its pawn on b-file and open a path for bishop to sneak in. But black want to heat up the position by attacking the bishop with its knight so he could trade. But white brings its bishop so that the knight could be pinned with the queen and the rook. Now black brings its queen to d4 so that it could protect the knight. And now the rook is also under attached, so it has to move in e1. Now black's knight takes the bishop and white queen take it, which ends in queen trade for now. Now there's no many pieces left in a board. There is a bit shuffling around. Now here is an interesting part. The white rook goes to grab the pawn on the 7 rank, but the black pins the rook and white plays rook to e1. You might be wondering why it played rook to e1, because it has calculated this step for the future. Now the bishop is safe and you both have traded. Also, this is the reason why Stockfish engine play far more better than us human. It's black turn and it played pawn to f5 and white reply with rook to e5. Black pushed its pawn and white took it with its pawn. Now black kings joins the attack on the bishop and white bishop moves to d6 for protection and trade off the rook. Black again takes the pawn on a 2 and white moves its pawn on a file because it was attacked by the bishop. Now they have equal amount of pieces and they just shuffle and then it ends into a draw. Now we must agree that a perfect played game of chess always ends in a draw. Subscribe.